Saturday, June 9th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So it's just gone past 9 a.m. I was up late last night. I went to bed just after 3 a.m. I was watching the EOS vote on whether to go mainnet, and it was very interesting. Many of you probably know that I've been involved, not directly in the project, of course. I've been acquiring the tokens. I made my first video in September last year. It says here September 7th, early market, a look at EOS and the China ICO ban. I've made some more videos on this in December, and I've been updating all along this project. And why did I get involved in it? Well, because the person behind it, behind designing the software, Dan Larimer, he was involved with BitShares. He was involved with Steemit. That was the biggest reason why I got involved with EOS, because of the track record, and also because of Dan Larimer's philosophy, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist philosophy. I like that. By anarcho, I don't mean that there aren't any rules, but I think anarcho means that there are no leaders. The community runs everything. And that's why people have been kind of skeptical, I think, about EOS. They think it's not been run properly. They're saying, you know, why didn't block.one do this or that? Well, because it's supposed to be done by community consensus. And I'll come to that a little later. So, yeah. So it was a very interesting vote yesterday. They voted unanimous to go. And what does that mean? That means from today at 1300 UTC, which is 2 p.m. London, or let's say 9 a.m. New York, there's going to be one appointed block producer that will launch the chain. And from then on, the community is going to have to vote to pick the 21 block producers. There's a lot of other block producers, the people that are candidates. There's over 100, I think. I think there was 160 yesterday on the live stream vote. I'll put a link to it in the cards and in the description. If you really want to see how it went, I really recommend you watch the whole thing. It's about an hour. I mean, I stayed up at 2 in the morning to watch it. If you really want to know, you do your homework. Be part of it. That's the interesting thing about it. So the vote went unanimously. It took a while because there was block producers from China. So there's one guy there that was translating. So, and you could see on the chat, a lot of silly people were saying, you know, why we're listening in Chinese. Well, because he's doing the translation. So it took a while, and it finally went through. I think they had a few votes this week. It took about 7 days to get the consensus. But now they know that it's safe to launch and everyone is in agreement. The vote, yeah, I haven't looked yet how and which platform I'm going to use to vote. It will probably take 24 to 48 hours to get the 15% agreement. block.one, of course, has 10% of the vote. They could make it go quick. But I wouldn't rush. And I wouldn't rush either about trading, or if you've registered, you got your private and your public key, just hold on and keep an eye on it. This is a very long-term thing. This is just the beginning, in my opinion. What else? When you watch this live stream from yesterday, when they had the vote, when they decided to go ahead, it looks very chaotic and hectic, but you have to remember that they were connecting with over 100 different block producers all around the world at all different time zones, and they managed to do it. So I think it's quite incredible. Does that mean that it's finished now and you know, like people say, to the moon? To be honest, I don't care about the price. I think being involved in the project is what is important. This is just the beginning. So EOS price, this is where it is right now, 1463. The reason there is some trading because people still have some of the old tokens on the exchange. How it's gonna work through the how can I say, the launch when the chain goes live, I'm not sure, but I won't be trying to how can I say, start trading my token. I'm gonna just sit and watch, and that's not the reason why I have the tokens either, to trade. It's much more than that. The other interesting point now is that we should see a lot of DApp or developers coming with their projects and announcing that they're going to be on the EOS blockchain. That could be massive. And the reason they're going to just do it now is because they're waiting for the launch. So we still got to wait. We still got to wait for the vote to appoint the 21 block producers. The first 21 block producers, that could change because one of the block producers could be voted out, and most probably will be voted out. So going back to the traditional markets as well, I've had a few questions about the bond market. Someone asked me how come the 10-year yield flash crashed yesterday. Well, first of all, the 10-year yield does not trade as an instrument. The 10-year yield is just a result of the price of the 10-year treasury. So there's no such thing as a 10-year yield flash crashing. What you could have is a short squeeze in the price of the bond. So I brought the chart of the 10-year yield yesterday. And you can see that early on, so this was about 4 a.m. New York time, it dropped from 292 to around, let's see, where was that? To around 288, I guess. So yeah, that was bonds rallied there. I'm not sure what happened, and the yield dropped, but that's not a flash crash. It was probably, and this was 4 a.m. New York time, so it was early in the morning in Europe. So it dropped to, yeah, from 292 to 289. That's a 3 basis points drop. I worked in the bond market for over 20 years. That's not a flash crash in yields. So I saw the headline that was on Zero Hedge. Someone said flash crash in yields. And it also said bond bulls battered. So the person who wrote that doesn't even know the relationship between yield and price. Because if the yield goes down like that quickly, actually the bond bulls are not battered. They've done well because the price has gone up. So I'm sorry to say, Zero Hedge there, whoever wrote that for Zero Hedge, didn't know what they were talking about. And if anything, the 10-year yield, as you can see, last night, Friday, closed at 295, which is the high of the day and the high of the week probably. And that's in spite of the Italian 10-year yield closing also near the highs of the day. Well, at the highs of the day at 313, up 7 basis points. And why is this significant? Well, because earlier in the week when things calmed down in Italy, that yield had dropped back to around 250. Last week, when the Italian yield squeezed from like 280 to 343 in one day, the 10-year yield actually dropped to 275 because people were rushing from the Italian bonds to German bonds to US treasuries. But now, with the yield having gone back up in Italy, it hasn't helped the US 10-year in terms of price. So I actually think it's quite significant that we're not seeing money flow into treasuries in spite of, how can I say, uncertainty in the Italian bond market. Yeah, the flash crash didn't happen in the US 10-year yield. If anything, as you can see there, the yield finished up 3 basis points yesterday, and it's near that 3% level. Of course, in terms of events this weekend, it's very interesting that the G7 and Bilderberg are meeting at the same time. Does that mean anything? Maybe. I'm not privy. I'm not privy to what's happening there, of course. And I've heard that the police at Bilderberg has been pretty rough to the reporters, the alternative media reporters. So I don't know if they're cooking anything up. But for me, the important news in terms of, the blockchain, this cryptocurrencies, is the launch of this EOS community. And if you are involved, I recommend you join the Telegram groups, EOS Telegram, EOS New York, EOS Vibes, and they will ask them, when can we start voting? What do you recommend? Which wallet? Which platform? And that's what I'm doing. You got to do it yourself. This is why it's a community. I guess if you don't have to vote, if you don't feel comfortable, they only need 15% of the votes. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit and watch and see what's going on and make sure that I do it properly, and that I don't expose my tokens to any danger. So what else is there to say? Tomorrow, Sunday, I will be making the normal, now it's becoming more normal, live stream tomorrow night at 9 p.m. London. 4 p.m. New York, Sunday afternoon. Haven't decided what I'm going to talk about yet. As usual, I will take questions and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. So have a look at that EOS live stream. Just to give you an idea, EOS Go, the YouTube channel, they're like neutral. They report only on EOS. They had about 2,000 people viewing that live stream. I was one of them. And also Ivan on Tech, who's quite a big YouTuber on cryptocurrency. He was live as well from Sweden. That was even later. And he had 2,000 people as well, which is quite a lot for a live stream. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you tomorrow for the live stream at 9 p.m. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. And I'll talk to you later. Take care.